Traditional ownership of real property is described as the bundle of legal rights. In other words, a purchaser of real estate actually buys the rights of ownership held by the seller. These rights include the right of possession, the right of control, the right of enjoyment, the right of exclusion, and the right of disposition. So the bundle of rights include the right of possession, which means the title holder is the legal owner of the property. The right of control, which means the owner can use the property as they choose fit, as long as it's legal. The right of enjoyment means that no one will disturb the owner in their use and their enjoyment of their premises within the law. The right of exclusion allows the owner to limit who's going to enter their property, who will be on their property. And the right of disposition allows the owner to sell, rent, and lease and transfer ownership of their property at will. We as home purchasers need a guarantee that we're actually buying the rights of ownership that are held by the seller. The same rights the seller has, we as buyers will now have. And as a real estate owner, we can exercise all of our rights within the limits of the law, meaning if the local law states no farm animals are allowed within city limits, and the owner wants to bring in, say, 50 head of cow, well, he'll not be able to enact the bundle of control or enjoyment on this particular piece of property because he will not be acting within the law of his county ordinances. Let's take a look at each of the rights and make sure we understand them and how they work. Most importantly, a property owner has the right of possession. Once the title for a property is given, the owner has the right of possession. What this means is that the buyer officially has ownership of the property. As long as the owner pays taxes, abides by rules and regulations, and abides by maybe their HOAs, if they have that, they abide by their city ordinances, they have the right of legal possession. They have a right of control. So the property owner has a right to control who they want to use the property, how they want to use the property. Do they want to hedge the bushes in an ornate way? If so, they can do that to their property as long as it's in accordance of their local laws and HOA covenants. They have a right of enjoyment. This right of enjoyment gives the owner the freedom to enjoy the property in any way that they choose fit. This means the owner can have a friend over, they can have multiple friends over, heck, they can even have a party. They can play yard games and sit around on lawn furniture that they chose. They can barbecue steaks. They can choose to have the party catered. They can have music. They can have decorations. They can choose to have the party whenever and wherever they choose and enjoy their property in the way they see fit, as long as it's within the confines of the law, the local HOAs, the city ordinances, etc. That's the right of enjoyment. Exclusion means that the owner can prohibit other people from using or entering the property. A property owner doesn't have to allow anyone access to a property without a warrant. Only law enforcement with a legal warrant have the right to enter private property without permission. Now we have to remember easements for the use of utilities. Sometimes we need to provide access for third parties to perform different acts of maintenance. That will not be included in the right of exclusion. We must allow them to come onto our property. Disposition refers to the right of the owner to sell the property. So the right of disposition is the right that allows the owner to sell it at their will. But they can also rent it. They can lease their property. They can transfer ownership. And they can do what they want as far as disposition with their property. The only restriction here comes if taxes are owed to the IRS. If the owner owes taxes, then the amount must be paid as part of the settlement in the disposition or sale of the property. We'll also get into different rights of disposition when we talk about liens. Are there liens to this property? And if so, those need to be settled before we have our right to disposition and a right to sell. Our bundle of legal rights are very important in our real property. It started in the Middle Ages. A seller used to transfer property by giving the purchaser a handful of earth or a bundle of bound sticks from the tree on the property. And then the purchaser who accepted the bundle, they owned the tree from which the sticks came from and the land to which the tree was attached. So because the rights of ownership, like the sticks, can be separated and individually transferred, the sticks became symbolic to those rights. As you are remembering your bundle of rights, remember that the owners have the right of possession, the right of control, the right of enjoyment, the right of exclusion, and the right of disposition. And remember the names behind it and the definitions behind each of those.